There's a pile of old cans and stuff over in there where I found the ammo clip, and I think the buildings were all scattered through there. There was only half a dozen of them, but we're going to hunt those down and then a bit later on go to a dam and an old well. Let's get cracking. Is it part of a hinge or something through there? There would have been a pin through that part.
Yeah, it's almost like a lockdown strap.
Yeah,
On something.
like a ammo box or something. What the hell is that?
Fucking pointy is what it is.
It's either a big nail, what's that, it'd be 8 inches, or it's some sort of spike.
Yeah, 9 inches.
Don't measure the
well,
diameter.
I don't know if that bit was been eaten away, but not big enough to be anything else, but there's no head on it.
Maybe it was a tool for ammunition. Could be a file.
Could have been a file. But I mean, they had ammo boxes, you know, they might have had a bit of metal to undo them quicker, because I don't know. Some of them were hard.
Can you see it or dig?
No, I can't see it.
We're back out near the school and we're trying to find more evidence of this so-called lost ammunition dump. And the skinny one and I are back where we left off in the last video. You know how to use this?
No.
You got something like a long thing. While Stephen was metal detecting, I found this interesting circular thing like an old coin on the ground. I was a bit surprised by what was actually under it.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. For those,
What made you realise what it was?
when I felt how soft it was.
On the inside? That poor fucking spider. You have it back.
Yeah, it was the door on a trapdoor spider.
I thought it was a lid or something. Yeah.
Something there or?
It won't pinpoint. Yeah, I guess.
Still there.
Yep. Says it's up to 6 inches deep. Anymore.
This spot we're searching now is where we think one of the original buildings used to be.
It's in that pile somewhere.
Yeah, just this is still there.
There it is. Another nail.
A nail.
one that's on the ground. He must have bent it when he put it in.
Or pulled it out.
Or would he bent to the top? It's even got a head on it. Look where the mesh is going to be.
Hey?
Look where the mesh was on.
No? You've gone past it.
The shower. I think it's empty. That's a new rope though.
Yeah, it's not an old one. Not a bad one though.
No, it's just it's all canvas.
Do you think we should have it? I think we should.
Yeah?
Yep.
Think it'll work?
I know, find out. Just going to remove a bit of rubbish from the bush because we don't like rubbish left in the bush.
Got him.
There's a couple of drums that most likely World War II vintage, the way it's made. Nice piece of asbestos building around here somewhere. Looks like there's a bit of earthworks up here. Looks like a dam, yeah. Oh, flies. I believe we're in this area here and we're trying to find the remains of these buildings. I can see stuff in there, looks, I don't know whether it's broken asbestos or whatever, but there's some shiny stuff in there. So around this area in World War II was a kitchen and mess. There may only be the mess left behind. You know, this might be a rubbish pit.
That's another one of those.
There's a bottle.
Yeah, and that's one of those mining things. You know, like at your house?
Yeah.
Either Vaseline or Vegemite. No, back then it wouldn't have been Vegemite. That's probably Vaseline. I cannot read it.
Or can I? Put my video amplifiers on. Chesburg, I think it is, New York. So that could have been Vaseline, I think.
Looks like a little Vaseline jar. Purple glass.
Hmm.
It's a weird bolt.
Hmm. And this is definitely a rubbish pit.
Another purple top for a bottle.
Yeah, I don't know that this has actually been dug. That looks like clinker. This one just says the property of something. I don't know what it means.
A lot of this shit around.
Yeah, it's, I mean, clinker. It's been.
This thing. Oh, they might have had a fire going. If this was a they would have had a fire going here, and somebody else would come along and throw shit on top and shot it all.
What'd you find?
One of the tops for a bottle top.
Oh, that's interesting. It's a bit round than normal.
Yeah, it was sitting on the surface like that, so I guess the weather could have rounded it over time.
So we're in the site where there was a kitchen and mess, an S&A building, whatever that means, admin building, latrines, and the Q store. So if we can find evidence of that, we might be able to get the metal detector out, and perhaps we might find something from the war. So in one of the photos that's probably on the screen now, there, oh hang on, bottle. A live dig. What are we going to get out of this?
Got a lid and everything.
Yeah.
And eyeball. No, you have to read it.
Property of Al Doyle Limited. Never seen that.
No. Looks like it might be like one of those old whiskey bottles that has
Yeah.
skull in the movie.
AGM, so Australian glass manufacturer, so it is an Australian bottle. This bottle is the property of Al Doyle Limited. Interesting. Yeah, for someone else. So in the photos where the tent lines were, you could see that there were some light coloured trees and dark trunk trees. So there's an example where there's a light coloured tree behind that little bush and the dark coloured or salmon coloured trees over there. There's more glass just there. Broken bottle here. I can see a bright shiny thing over there under that tree. With all this apparently aimless wandering around the bush, what we are trying to find is some actual evidence of where either a tent or a hut was, and we're hoping to find some personal relic that will lead back to the actual soldiers that lived out here during the war. Yeah, okay. I found a bottom of a plate or something, tile. Johnson Brothers, England. And there's a bit of this stuff around here. Another bottle. Eh?
Mound of dirt. Yeah, this is Californian poppy.
Oh, fuck off, really?
I think so. That's what
Oh, yeah.
my father-in-law.
I thought you saw it.
Oh no, my father-in-law used to have those. He doesn't anymore.
Doesn't need it anymore.
No, what is this?
J&W Ross. Kwangdong.
Fat glass.
So birds just shat there.
Yeah. That's probably the same thing that ate that. Yeah. Like a train, eh?
Hmm. Finding any sort of evidence of an actual structure, like the stumps that might have been left in the ground or a concrete pad, was becoming increasingly difficult. Hmm. See the white thing between the trees? Oh, there's a pile of shit over there. Mm. Oh, there you go. That's an army star picket, that's the top part.
Yeah.
Don't pretend.
No, I was looking for a date. They're normally down here.
Yeah, if they're that old.
Made in Australia.
Bit of rubbish in here. Well, this is a bit unexpected. Doubly unexpected. It's a car door. And there's some fresh animal turds on it. It's definitely glass all through here.
Eh?
Glass all through here.
Yeah. Well, obviously people have been camping there if you're bringing their broken bits of car up.
There's a gasket out of a car, head gasket. Doesn't look like an army plate because there's no army symbols on it. Have a look.
They stamped it over the top. So they buy the china and then stamp over it.
Well, all the ones I had just had a, I
Had like
can't remember, like a, not a crown, a rising sun or something, didn't they?
no, well, we had crowns and yeah, more crown. And we had two different types of crowns, though, didn't we? No, we also had the badge, that coat of arms as well.
Yeah.
Down the road. No.
I know. Well, what's that there? Under the tree.
Hold. No, that's something different. That's a tool.
Yeah.
The handle.
It's only half it.
Leaving it.
What did you find?
An old lemo clip.
Wow. .303 ammunition clip. Definitely World War II.
This might have been a latrine, gonna dump.
There's a couple of them here. I know that's a Brill cream bottle because I can see Brill cream on it. What sort of case is that? Looks pretty sturdy.
Yeah, it looks like an opposite.
This was the largest pile of rubbish we had found during this trip, and it was all sitting on the surface. Here's another Brill cream bottle. Is that an indicator of an army camp? That's an old galvanised shell,
Oh yeah.
enamelled shell sign. Oh yeah.
Shaving bowl for an officer or something. Round one as well. That's the postal fight. The glass plates that you can see through this.
Yeah. Is there anything on the bottom of it? Oh no, it's 2 ornate, that white one.
Marker one? No, no, it's upside down. Made in,
Japan.
is it? That's what the other thing said.
I'm pretty sure that's not from World War II because we wouldn't have been buying stuff from Japan. We know there was an army camp here. Whether that rubbish is from army days or not, it's a bit hard to prove. And a few jars in the bush. DJ Fowler Limited. Just skirting around the outside of that big pile of rubbish which is just over there. almost like a track. Evidence of old tracks are helpful to us because sometimes they lead to places that provide some interesting relics to look at. However, this one was a bit indeterminate. We couldn't really find out what it was doing. More stuff in here. There's like a culvert been dug here.
Yeah, that's what I thought up there. It's like,
And it just stops there where the rubbish is. Those tin can dunnies, they're definitely from toilets,
yeah.
latrines. And there's really old asbestos sheeting on the ground. So it is a culvert, it's just been dug here.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff looks modern, like it's a ring pull can. They weren't around during the war. These dunny cans have been out of service for a very long time. And that looks like a fountain sauce bottle. So it's a bit hard to date this. Not to be taken, a poison bottle. A bit hard to date this pile, but that actually looks like some sort of ammunition holder. This has to be Army, World War II. This is too much bully beef in here. Number 338 BC and Co. Old glass. Beer stein. And that's off a lamp, hurricane lamp. Considering the amount of tins of bully beef, I'd say we're not far from where the kitchen would have been. This is some sort of heavy duty container, tank or something. Well, take that back, not that heavy duty. But there's a bucket, and that's definitely looks like army material.
Definitely from that era.
Fill it full of sand, it's a fire bucket. This is where I reckon the storage tank was.
Oh, back in the tank.
Well, I don't know.
Wow. Could have been a big bladder. At least it was in there.
Well, it's like that other one over there, you know, that was just a hole in the ground like a dam.
It could have been, yeah. Yeah, what's that?
Yeah, it's got a bit of roller line through it.
There's definitely a post in the ground for something.
Hmm. Yeah, it's definitely roller line, so
Yeah.
bush concrete. And there's a culvert over there and a channel here. They might have been able to collect water off the slope if looks like World War II vintage type design.
Yeah, got a lid poking up.
Hmm. Oh, this is the dam that's marked on the map. Definitely has the chicken wire like we've seen before and a really solid post over there. Well, it was solid when it was put in. Solid corner post. Barbed wire on the top.
This definitely would have held a lot of water.
Yeah. Empty now. And according to this, there were a couple of little buildings lurking in the bush over there. So we'll grab the map out and see where they might be in relation to this. So from this corner of the dam, somewhere up in there was a building, and then there was another one a bit further along. A lot more debris just here. The dam is over there, so I would have expected the building to be up a bit further up there somewhere, but those maps aren't always 100% accurate. Holbrook sauce, and it's a really old bottle. Brick.
A brick.
Half a brick.
Don't know what it is, nothing on it.
You know, pickles or something. We're wandering around in the bush looking for any sorts of remains. Often we find a bit of trash on the ground. I'm not sure if that's exactly where the buildings were. There's no concrete pads on any of the ones that we've seen so far. If they had wooden stumps, maybe they've all rotted out, I don't know. I know the buildings look like they've been sold, and I'm waiting for the new documentation to come from the National Archives to sort of tell me how many buildings there were that were sold, and perhaps even give me a new map that might be a bit more accurate than what I've got. And behind me is another big sandalwood tree, and you can just smell the sandalwood. This is the area where I would have expected the building, just based on the dam and the distance from the dam. Other than that pile of rubbish that we found back there, not much else. Where there should be a well and a storage tank, And I'm guessing that this mound here is where there was a small metal tank. Down in here is a hole, which is nothing special. But over here is another hole. And this is all caved in. This was the well.
Not very deep anymore, is it?
No.
Considering all that shit they took out of it.
Yeah.
Must have been deep.
And this is so white you can see it clearly on Google Earth.
Yeah.
Right here. Where is it?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah, right here. See? There's a spot up there, pointing straight
Okay.
down.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's supposed to be one in between these rocks. Where it is, I'm not real sure. But there should be one around the front of this rock as well, where we just drove up. Yeah. Hey? Well, look, it doesn't say how big they were. Why is it clearing a square there? Level. Oh, okay. Yeah, yep. That could be it. Yeah, it is. No, I agree with that. There's definitely nothing left behind except for those lids.
Yeah.
Is that anything just up there?
On the hill.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe people. I didn't say what they were, did they?
The afternoon had got away from us. We hadn't had lunch and we had decided to keep walking around looking for various parts of this old ammunition dump. It was going to be over 40 degrees today, and right now the temperature is probably close to 38 or 39, and we're getting pretty tired. There was a fair amount of walking between these video shots, a lot of which is not included here. I can see something white over there. No, it's alright, I did. Yeah, that looks like it's off a car, a vehicle or...
I was going to say, that looks like a vehicle number plate thing.
Yeah.
Because
Or
that big disc would have gone
Yeah.
down there. Would have said what it was. And that was probably a thing they could slide into any car somewhere.
Oh, this is interesting. This is sort of things I would have expected. Well, dug into the ground.
Well, that's what I would have thought, but not a shed, just a roof.
Yeah.
You might, that's what I would have, say that.
In this part of the old camp, the drawings indicate that the buildings were relatively small squares. We expected to see a shed type structure But then it dawned on us that ammunition is normally stored so that there is a buffer in case something explodes. And this sort of digging in the ground is likely to have had some sort of building inside that hole where the ammunition was stored. I'm just going to go up to the top rock where that watchtower was. And what are you doing down there?
Chipped on the weed and you missed it.
No, I didn't actually. That little weed there, you fell on that.
Yeah. So it doesn't work when you do this.
Back to these sawhorses. It's pretty amazing. I would not have thought that they were captured in a picture. Stephen's just walking up to what was the watchtower, or the lookout tower. So according to the plans, there should be a couple of old buildings down in between this rock and that rock, but they're not there. Can you see any writing in the concrete? Name or anything?
They just have a big canvas cover over the top.
Yeah. This is more like what we were expecting to see. It's sort of like a bunker structure. And there probably was some sort of shelter over the top, whatever that was, don't know, could have been asbestos sheeting or whatever, or wood or tin.
Or just ham net.
Yeah. I suspect that access to this particular depression in the ground was from the side where all the bushes are. And if you look at this World War II photo of the blokes loading the ammunition into the back of a horse-drawn cart, you can see the type of building that was probably erected. And if you look in the right-hand corner, you'll actually see that this is on a sloping section of ground, and the rear of the building is actually built down into the dirt, and there is a small embankment towards the side and the rear of that building. And this is what I think we have seen in the last two areas where we were exploring for these old buildings.